Good afternoon, everybody. That got your attention. It's always a little bit late. Who got a fright? I got a fright. That's one way to get everybody's attention, a little bit of a fright. It's talking tour time. We were going to be having a chat with the winner of the race, but all the riders from the women's race, they're off to a function that's been put on by Santos to celebrate the victory. So we're going to have a chat to somebody who's done a couple of things in her career, particularly over the last 12 months. If you go and walk into the Hilton, you'll see the banner of her and you'll see her name on the steps. She won this race 2 years ago. But her season last year was a career in itself. In chronological order, she kicked it off with winning the Australian time trial title again. She then went to the big Sprint Classics and she won Liège-Bastogne-Liège, despite giving us all a fright with about 4 kilometres to go on a roundabout. She then went to Olympic Games, brought home a gold medal, won by 1 minute and 30 seconds. She figured, there's another race I want to win. She took out the world title. She then dropped the mic and she left the building. What a way to retire. Please welcome onto the stage one of the all-time greats, Grace Brown. Does it feel real when you hear your CV back?
Now I'm feeling much more like, one of the people here, just a fan. And it is a bit surreal to hear what I've done. I'm like, was that really me?
When you walk into the Hilton Hotel, what's it like to see your name on the steps and your poster up on the wall? And you are bigger than you are in the Hilton. It's huge.
Somehow I have not seen it. Where is the poster of me?
We'll go for a walk later. So what's it like to see your name there, at least on the steps? You've definitely seen that, haven't you?
Yeah, it is really special. It's nice, having a connection with this race, not just having come here like almost every year of my career, but, being a champion of the race and worn that ochre jersey. I think it was one of the more memorable victories of my career because winning on home soil with your friends and your family and the crowd and all the Australian spectators who sometimes stay up really late watching us race in Europe. But here you actually get to be on the ground and you get to cheer us and get autographs and photos, lots of selfies. So, there's something really special about this race.
Okay, well, I've got a strategy for this interview because I know how humble Grace is and she's a bit reluctant to talk about herself. So we're going to try and loosen that up by talking about this year's Santos Tour Down Under first. One of your great rivals, Chloe Dygert, she won the stage today. How important has she been in your career? Because you'll look at the greats of a lot of sports, like Rafa wasn't Rafa without Roger and vice versa. And in track sprinting, Anna Meares wasn't Anna Meares without Victoria Pendleton. What did Chloe Dygert mean to your career?
Yeah, Chloe Dygert has always been the woman to beat in the individual time trial. She's just got exceptional power. She's had a very bumpy ride. She's had some horrific injuries and crashes. And if things had gone smoothly for her, she would just be out of this world good. But regardless of it all, she's been the woman to beat. And I think knowing how quality she is pushed me beyond what I would have been able to do otherwise, knowing, the target's up here.
Were you happy to see her win today?
Yeah, I was happy. We've had a good rivalry over the years, but definitely, especially this past year at the Olympics and the World Championships, I felt a lot of respect from her with those wins. She's a strong character and she said on occasion, why would I come to a race if I can't win it? And that's a bit confronting. But in that, she respects the races so much that she respects the people that win them. And I think that's a really solid thing from a competitor.
She is a super competitor because I got to interview her on Wednesday and one of the questions I asked everybody, I spoke about this briefly yesterday, what's your greatest weakness? And she spoke about her own self-belief. And she said that on the back of last season, keep in mind in last season, She won a bronze medal in the time trial at the Olympic Games behind Grace Brown. She won a gold medal in the Olympics in the team's pursuit. She medalled in the road race at the World Championships. She was a silver medalist behind Lotte Kopecky. And at the end of the season, she said, I thought it was time to retire because I didn't achieve what I wanted to achieve this year. She set some high standards for herself.
Oh, yeah, she wants nothing but the top step. And yeah, I mean, every athlete is different in what they're satisfied with, and she has really, really high standards for herself. And I think, yeah, you need some people like that because otherwise we get a bit lazy.
I think she's going to win a lot of races in 2025. Two more questions in relation to the Santos Tour Down Under. The winner, Naomi Rugg, yesterday was her first World Tour victory. Today was her first stage victory in a World Tour race. She's only 23. How important do you think this win will be in her career when she reflects in 10 years' time?
I think it'll be really significant. The Tour Down Under is like a sort of launch pad for so many talented athletes. You hear people reflect on wins here and how it really opened up, you know, the possibilities of what they could do. And Naomi Rugg has been knocking at the door, especially last year. She's really strong, very talented rider, and has race smarts. And yeah, this was bound to happen, and I think this has just been the unlock, and we'll see her winning more and more.
Okay, one more rider I want to talk about. Who was happy to see Alyssa Pilates get the Queen of the Mountains jersey today? I agree. So in commentary, I've told you this one before if you've been here the last few years, Richie Benno, he has 8 rules of commentating, the late, great Richie Benno, and one of them is there's no team called them or us. With about 150 metres to go, I wasn't sure whether I was commentating or barracking for Alyssa Pilates to win that sprint to get the polka dot jersey. She was so smart the way she rode that climb. Tell us your thoughts on her journey the last few years and what this can mean to her.
Yeah, I choked up a little bit seeing her receive her Queen of the Mountain jersey today. She's had a really rough couple of years. You know, she was launched up onto the world tour on the JCO development team. And yeah, she had some bad crashes, you know, illness, all these things that just, you know, hold you back and make the experience really tough. And she's come back to Australia. She's now racing again with the Pro Velo Super League team, and she's, you know, got the maturity to go back to basics and do the things that, you know, make her happy and fulfilled. And now she's building back up again. And you can see that happiness allows you to achieve. Yeah. So, yeah, that was so heartwarming to see.
A happy athlete is a high-performing athlete. She's still only 21 years of age, and she's already been in the World Tour. She's back at not quite square one, but she's back trying to get into the World Tour. To give her even more confidence, remind us, how old were you when you rode your first bike race?
23.
She's ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Alyssa Pilates is already ahead of
right.
Grace Brown. What brought you to it?
I was a runner when I was growing up, so yeah, through primary school and high school, I would do cross country and athletics and compete through the school system up until the national level. And in my uni years, I thought, okay, I'm going to try and take this a bit more seriously. I started building up my Ks, training harder, and then the injuries started. Stress fractures in my tibias, a stress fracture in the head of my femur, and each time I had to go to the pool and water run, these hours of monotony, and it was not fun. So this last stress fracture, I said, that's enough. I'm not doing this anymore. And the bike came up as an idea. My dad was encouraging me. So I bought a bike and found a group on Beach Road, and the rest is history.
Those injuries might be the best injuries in the history of Australian cycling. Thank heavens for the brutality of running. Did you have a childhood dream of being an Olympian in athletics?
Yeah, I think I mean, lots of kids dream of the Olympics without really comprehending what it takes to get there. So yeah, I had a dream of being an Olympian and as a runner, not as a cyclist. But as you get older, you think it's more and more unrealistic. So,
I'm 50 on Friday and I'm still dreaming about it.
well, maybe you just haven't found your sport yet, Keno.
I might be aiming for the Winter Olympics. I'll do curling. You reckon there might be a spot in curling for me?
Yeah, potentially. Although it looks like quite a specific skill.
Oh, you used the word skill. You've ruled me out again. So at what point did you start to realise, actually, I've got a bit of talent at cycling. Maybe I can switch that dream from athletics to cycling and still go to the games?
I don't know that I really thought the Olympics was a reality until I'd made it onto the Mitchelton Scott team and was riding with Amanda Spratt and everyone, and the topic of Tokyo came up, and I remember speaking with Spratty and sort of testing the waters about, well, what do you think is required for the Olympics? And she said to me, I think you could make the team, you've got what it takes. And I was like, wow, okay, maybe I can go after that. It's one of those things you don't dare to dream about because it just seems like a pipe dream like these superhero humans do. But yeah, you need people in your corner telling you that you've got what it takes.
Spratty's one of the best to have in your corner. It's tough to make the road team. In Paris, for example, there was only 3 riders on the squad. So that is a small team to be able to get into. So it wasn't even when you were winning the National Road Series, you didn't have that as an aspiration?
No, there's still a long way to go between winning the National Road Series and making an Olympic team. I knew I had to be professional and I had to be winning at a professional level. It's not just, showing that you can win in Australia. You have to win at the best races on the international stage. It was the time I actually believed that I would make it was when I came second at Liège for the first time.
Wow. Okay, I want to talk about second at Liège for the first time then. This was a few years ago. So I was lucky enough to be with Grace at the Tour of Margaret River when she was riding the National Road Series for the Holden Gusto team. And I think I maybe had more faith in you then than you did, because the great Marianne Vos was on that ride as well. And Grace and Marianne Vos were setting tempo at the front, and I was sitting in the slipstream really comfortable. I could have been at the front, no problem. But I figured that was a good opportunity to get a photo of you two. So I took a photo of you two together, and then you didn't seem to think much of it. I was thinking more of it than you were. And then I remember seeing you in that Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Lizzie Dygert was up the road, and you were side by side with Marianne Vos going to the last climb. And you looked across and you attacked Marianne Vos and you rode away from her. And then you closed a 33-second gap. You got it down to about 8 seconds, maybe less in the end. I think that's one of your greatest performances ever, even though it was second place. What's it like going from one of your, not necessarily heroes, but somebody that is one of the legends of the sport, to her becoming one of your rivals?
Yeah, I think in those moments, sometimes you have a bit of imposter syndrome. The whole race, there was so much going on. And actually, when Lizzie Dynan went, I didn't have the confidence to follow her because, she was this great of women's cycling, world champion, just winner of all the biggest races in the world. And she attacked, and I thought, that's not something that I can do to follow her. But I was feeling good. And I kicked myself. I'm like, what? I could have gone with her.
Oh, yeah, you could have.
And so then when we came to the next climb, it was like I'd learned my lesson. If you're feeling good, you go for it. So regardless of who was in that group, I attacked and didn't look back.
Okay, I want to now talk about mental toughness and believing in yourself. Because I'm still of the view that you second in that Liège-Bastogne-Liège, you were the strongest bike rider that day. But last year in Liège-Bastogne-Liège, where you won, I didn't think you were the strongest, but you were the smartest. Tell us how you got it done. And do you agree with me?
Yeah.
The right answer's yes. You say yes, Keno, you are correct. Repeat after me.
No, I wouldn't have won if I raced a different tactic because my strengths against the top riders were different each year. Like the year I came second, I'd been training for that type of effort. This year I'd done so much time trial training that like my high VO2 was really dulled. So I needed to give myself one really long, big effort. So that was going in the breakaway. And it was the hardest race I've ever done in my career in terms of the data I collected out that day. Like, really, like, insane.
You know, does it give you an indication of how many hours rest you should have after a training session? You know, when you go for a run, your Garmin says 19 hours rest, or what did it say?
Oh, I don't look at that. I turn it off. So
I must have said
but
it was 72 hours then.
It would have said whatever the maximum is. Yeah, I was dead for all intents and purposes.
How did you get it done then?
Yeah, I knew that I was feeling good the day before the race. I told my team, like, I think that I can win this race if you give me the opportunity. I'd actually received our race plan and seen that I wasn't, I wasn't in a role that had an opportunity to win it. And I went to our team management and I said, look, this is the first time I've ever been disappointed with our team plan because I believe that I can do it. And if you give me the opportunity to race how I need to race it, I promise I'll do a good job. And they're like, okay, Grace, if you say you can do it, we believe you. Do what you have to do. So I put myself in the breakaway. It always goes at the same point at Liège-Bastogne-Liège. There's this really hard series of hills in the middle of the race. And basically all you do is have to ride at the front of the bunch, that whole section, and the rest of the peloton just like disappears. And then you've got this really strong group. So that's what I did. I was in the break. I had some great people in there, like Elise Shabby, who was like very motivated and driving the pace. And to be honest, I was worried that she was going to outclimb me and drop me towards the end. But the team came up and they're like, no, you're the strongest. You'll get there. And we made it to the top of La Rochefoucauld before the favourites got across. And from there, I was pretty confident that I had it. I know that my sprint is good against that company.
It was absolutely brilliant. I'd love to get the audio from the team car, though, when you nearly missed the roundabout and things got a little bit sideways.
Yeah.
Probably not fit for public consumption.
No, it was all in French anyway, so.
Perfect. So now that we're into 2024, let's go through last year. From there, obviously the next big target is the Olympic Games. What was the process?
Yeah, so I had set the Olympic Games time trial as a goal pretty much from when we finished up in Tokyo. Coming fourth there, I was 7 seconds behind Anna van der Breggen, and there were a few clear things that I knew I could change to make up a significant amount of time, a lot with my position and my equipment, and then just like belief in myself that I could do it. So it was a goal, and then we look at all the aspects on, what do I need to work on to win it, from an equipment position, the bike, the skin suit, the helmet, wheels, the chain and the disc jockey, like the amount of detail in equipment is like quite insane, and testing in the wind tunnel. And then training, I was really looking at the course and seeing, it was a flat course, so I did a lot of flat efforts at like my threshold pace, and then doing like little surges to replicate every corner that I come out of. So it's always this like steady state, then push above, come back down. So it was hard training. And also doing that, just the mental challenge of pushing yourself in time trial training really sets you up well for race day. So once you have the adrenaline in race day, it's like so easy compared to the training that you've done.
Okay, put your hand up if a time trial's been easy. There's no hands up.
No.
You're the only one with your hand up.
No, it's usually not that easy, but the Olympics, it was almost like press play. Like I'd prepared so well that I went down the ramp and yeah, I was just dialed. And even on the course, like I'd studied every single corner. I'd planned the line I would take around each corner. I knew where on the road I needed to ride to avoid the bumps and the potholes and white lines and whatnot. And then also with the rain, I reassessed all of that just to, wash off a bit of speed, avoid the slippery bits. So, yeah, good planning helps.
I agree, absolutely. And I'm going to talk about that planning. You often hear commentators or in the media journalists, they say that certain athletes can rise to the occasion. But there's a great comment from a lot of coaches in that you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your preparation. And the great athletes prepare better than the others, and that's what sets them apart. And I think that's what set you apart in Paris.
Yeah, definitely. I believe that 100% because, everyone out there is talented, but if you don't do the work, if you don't, set the goal and see what you need to do to achieve that goal, then it's not going to be a reality. Like, talent needs to be used.
You've spoken a lot about the physical preparation, but what about the mental preparation? How important was it for you to come home to Australia for a little while after the Spring Classics and before the final preparation for the Games?
Well, actually, last year was the only year that I didn't come back to Australia.
Did Elliot go over to you?
Yeah. My husband came over for 6 weeks before the Olympics, so that was really helpful for me. And the 2 weeks prior to the Olympics, I did like a last finishing touches training camp in Mallorca, and my parents were there, and my husband, and it was just, having your closest there with you, calming you down, and making, reminding you that you're loved regardless of whether this big dream comes true or not, is really grounding. And it allows you to put yourself out there and risk losing because you've got people to catch you. So I think, for any athlete, like that support network is really important.
And does that help you ensure that you don't define yourself as a person and your self-worth based on your results?
Yeah, exactly. I think I've always, my whole career, it's been important for me to, keep people in my life that are a bit external to cycling, friends that I had before I was a cyclist who just, know me for me, and they don't really understand what I'm doing, but so whether I win or lose, they're always going to be there for me. So I have, always put energy into trying to maintain those relationships because it's allowed me to take bigger risks.
2 more questions on the Olympics. Is it true that you were getting instruction from the team car behind you to slow down through the corners because of the rain and others were crashing, and you ignored it.
Yes. Not not early in the race. Sorry, my voice is a bit croaky. But yeah, I went through the first time check. I was 5 seconds up. Second time check, 20 seconds up. And then coming into the last 5Ks, I think that like my team car had been getting news that my competitors were crashing. It was really slippery out there. I was unaware of it. No one passed the information on to me, thank God. But yeah, I sort of like got some hints because Jean Bates, who was in the car behind me, was like, okay, Grace, now sit up, brake, slow down for this corner, like take it easy. You just need to make it to the finish line. But yeah, I was having none of it. I was like, I'm trying to win a bike race here. Don't tell me to slow down. So thankfully I didn't come down, but yeah.
Did you know immediately when you crossed the finish line that you'd won?
I was pretty sure, yeah. I knew that I was ahead of Chloe, and historically, both in the world, like the last two world championships, she had paced her race like absolutely full gas to the first intermediate time check, and she'd like absolutely smash everyone out there. And then she'd just hold on, and by the end, the margin was quite slim. So I knew that if I was ahead of her at the first time check, it was very unlikely that she would come back on me unless she'd like completely flipped her tactic, which I thought was unlikely. So yeah, I was fairly sure that I'd won, and I got across the line and I went to my soigneur, Nadia, and I said, Nadia, I think I've won. And she was like, shh, Grace, no, don't say that. You have to wait for Chloe. I'm like, okay, but yeah, can I celebrate, please?
When Chloe came across the line, did you say, I told you so? No. But yeah, it's all like, you know, Italians are superstitious. The soigneur's Italian, so don't call it before you've got it. Okay, and now I want to know about the moment on the podium. National anthem's playing, you've got the gold medal around your neck, the flag's going up. Is it what you thought it would be?
Yeah, it was the biggest goosebumps moment of the whole experience, I think, when there's sort of this hush that falls over the crowd and you see the flags being raised and your own country's national anthem playing, and you just take that really like purposeful step onto the podium, and I really got like shivers down my body just realising, you know, this is something that I've done for my whole nation, and yeah, just the support of Australia back home and knowing what, yeah, an Olympic gold medal means to the country is very significant.
That's the best two questions about the Olympics I've ever asked, and it ended up being about 6. So I'm going to open it up to the floor in a moment. There's a pair of Oakley glasses up for grabs for the best question. Maybe Grace might have the pressure of seeing which is the best question to give the glasses away.
Can I win the glasses?
You can ask yourself a question? What question would you ask Grace Brown?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I already know all the
No
answers.
glasses for Grace. There's something she doesn't win.
Sorry, you put me on the spot there, Keno.
Sorry, okay. I'm going to ask you one more question before we get to the floor, and I'm keen to hear from you and ask Grace the questions that you want to hear the answers to. How do you pick yourself up from winning the Olympics and not letting that celebration go on and bounce back into concentration mode for the World Championships?
Yeah, that was quite difficult, but I went straight from the Olympics to the Tour de France Femme, and it was one of the hardest weeks of my career. I was like emotionally exhausted. I had really struggled to be motivated each day. The team wanted me to, try for some results, and I was just like, I don't have the personal ambition. I couldn't muster up the personal ambition to go after any results there. I did the time trial and I went full gas for that, but
you had a puncture, didn't you?
yeah, I had a puncture, so that didn't work out. But in the end, I just put all my focus into supporting my teammate Avita, and that was really refreshing to focus on someone else for a whole week. Just like the lead up to the Olympics had been so internal, and what do I have to do to be my best and all that. So then I came to the Tour de France Femme. I was exhausted, but I just gave everything to someone else. And that, allowed me to have a break and, refreshed me in a way. Not physically, because it was physically very tough, but I think that was like a reset. I had a little break off the bike afterwards, and then I was able to go back into training on the time trial bike, and I knew, even though I didn't have, exactly the same dedicated preparation for the World Championships, I knew that I could do it because I'd done it.
Self-belief, and you beat Demi Vollering. That's got to be satisfying.
Yeah.
Who wants to kick us off from the floor with a question for Grace? Yes. You look relaxed. You are relaxed. Here, I'll give you some microphone so everybody can hear you.
If Anna van der Breggen is going to make a comeback after 2 years, is there any chance of you making a comeback?
What's your name, sir? Richard has asked a question on behalf of Australia. If Anna van der Breggen is going to make a comeback, is there any chance, Grace?
Well, I mean, there's always a chance, but no. At the moment, I'm very determined that I've finished my career, and I'm sure Anna van der Breggen would have said there's no chance I'm coming back, I'm done. Knowing me, I'm very stubborn, so I've made a decision and it's not going to change, but yeah.
We're with Richard. We've got a question down here.
I want to be a professional cyclist when I grow up. What advice would you give me?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think you should ride your bike and love it, and, go out and race with your friends and practice, and, just keep chipping away, and maybe one day you'll make it onto a professional team.
Always keep having fun.
Yeah.
It's rule number one. Up the back, I'm going to run to you. Like I've done park run a few times recently.
Thank you. I think on social media, your last time up Alpe d'Huez, you were disappointed no one gave you a beer. And I was just wondering if you ever got one.
I've been given a few beers since my retirement. Don't worry about me, I'm sorted.
Any other questions? Yeah, we've got plenty. I'm going to start here just based on the location. We've got another gold medalist who snuck in. Last night's winner, Sam Welsford's in the audience. Here we go.
We've talked such a lot about your success, and it's absolutely inspiring. But tell me what sort of mental and physical process you go through when you've had a really bad day.
Yeah, there's a lot of those days in cycling, and, they range from the days where you end up in hospital and days where your confidence is just a bit shot and you just feel out of place in the peloton. But yeah, my approach has always been, okay, reassess. This is where I am now. What do I have to do to get back to where I want to be? And it's always just taking the next step in the direction that you want to head.
Excellent question, excellent answer. Another one here.
for a lot of athletes that coming down from being a professional and having your life so structured, how do you deal with that now? And is there support in place for you? And I think it's in Belgium, they have like a support network for all of the retiring athletes.
Yeah, it is difficult going, there's no way to really replicate the lifestyle of being a professional athlete. And, just having, I think the main thing that I've noticed is, as an athlete, each day I woke up and I had a real clear purpose on, what do I need to achieve today? And now it's like you wake up and you think, okay, I've got things to do, like I'm busy, but what does it all mean? And I think that's a definite struggle, and there's no quick fix. There's plenty of support from the institutions. Like I have, there's programs through Oz Cycling, Victorian Institute of Sport, the AIS. There's a lot there for me to access, but at the same time, I need to live it. You just have to go through some uncomfortable periods because that's the process.
Another one? We're over here.
There's a lot of talk about, functional threshold power. How much do you focus on that during your events, or do you use feel? And a double bunger question, in the slow parts of a time trial, you know that you should apply more effort to reduce the slow parts, and how do you work out to proportion your amount of effort for those sections?
So you're asking whether I referred to my power in the racing. So it sort of depended a little bit on the course. So some years in time trial races, I completely removed power from my head unit and went completely off feel, knowing more what speed I needed to be at each part of the course. For the Olympic time trial, I had, because it was flat, I really targeted an overall average power that I thought I needed to do. I did that less because I needed a reference to see, that I was in the right zone, but more as a motivator to keep pushing the average up. In the time trial, even the flat course at Paris, there were sections that were slightly dragging up or a false flat down, and the speed was quite different. So it wasn't a flat effort. I was doing under-overs. And I mean that, it's not an exact science, but yeah, you're pushing maybe 25% over, 25% under the average.
Another question over here.
Taking up the bike at 23, how did you sort of work on your bike handling and bunch skills, considering you were racing people that, would have been racing from juniors?
Yeah, that was a difficult aspect of coming to the sport late. I always envied, the Dutch riders that, they just won with their bike. And I think you always feel like maybe a little bit more awkward with the bike when you come to it later. But I chose not to be precious about that, and I went and I did skills training. I practiced things. I made myself learn skills so that I could be confident and know the physics of how a bike moves, and that gave me confidence. But yeah, you still have to also get it over the fear. And I think it's something that affects lots of professional cyclists at periods in their career. If you've had some bad crashes, it's a real process to come back, and sometimes you feel like you lose all your skills that you've learned after a crash, and you have to, work your way back from square one. So it's never a linear process.
Another question up the back here, Grace.
Just wondering what separates a good time trialers from the rest of the peloton.
I think the main thing is really being able to hurt yourself. Maybe I've got something wrong in my brain, and I'm quite okay with hurting myself for 40 minutes. It's a very uncomfortable event, and you have a lot of mind games, but I must be really stubborn because I don't give up.
Great trait to have for one of the world's best athletes. Question all the way up the back.
Hi, Grace. Grace, as a professional cyclist, female, do you have a thought about the Tour de France Femme and the TDU for women being shorter, obviously much less stages than the male riders? Do you have any thoughts about where we're going with that?
I think it's a process. We see these races building year on year. I think, we always want more. We want to see longer races. Like here, we were just getting into it and it finished. There's always the promise of more. The problem is that it all comes down to money. We need to find more money for the sport, more sponsors. So, if anyone has deep pockets, maybe you can help out.
Slight follow-up to that, Grace. Tell everybody what your role is now in helping with the growth of women's cycling.
So I've taken on a role as president of the board of the Cyclist Alliance, which is the union for female professional cyclists. So we're really looking after the female riders in terms of, working rights, making sure their contracts, cover them and look after them, helping riders with any legal issues that they might have with employers or ethics and all sorts, safety. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of work. I'm really proud to be a part of that, helping the women grow in a sustainable way.
Brilliant. I think the sport's in good hands with Grace in that position. Another question here.
You touched on training earlier for your time trial. What sort of emphasis might be you putting on things like turbo trainers like Wahoo and whatnot, or compared to training on the road or doing specific efforts, rollers, whatever?
Yep. I tried to do as much training as I could on the road, replicating the environment that I would be in the race. So, finding flat roads. I think it's important to have that feeling of speed. You don't get it on the indoor trainer. But I also did, on the time trial bike, from a skill perspective, I rode it on the rollers. So that really helped me be stable on the time trial bike and, hold my position in that really aerodynamic position on the bike.
In the middle here, Grace.
Hi, Grace. Congratulations on your career. This isn't a very technical question, but do you still ride? Do you get the pleasure to ride? If so, what type of riding do you still do?
Now I'm not riding as much, but when I go out, I'm riding with friends. So it's social. I haven't pushed myself too hard just yet, but I've lost a lot of fitness. It's crazy how quickly you lose all your fitness. So I'm missing that a little bit, being fit. But
Grace, be aware of your audience. I'm sure you've got everybody here absolutely covered. Another question down here.
What climb are you scared of the most?
Oh, good question. What climb are you scared of the most?
The corkscrew here in Adelaide's pretty bad.
Molly.
Pineapple and pizza, yes or no?
No, I'm a supporter of Italian tradition and
Any weird food quirks? Like
weird
craving?
food quirks. Probably, but I can't think of them right now.
Got another quick one here, and then we're going over the other side.
What is your baddest injury you've ever had?
In 2019, in the Tour of Norway, I had a crash where I broke 8 ribs and punctured my lung. And I don't know if you can see that big scar on my arm, but I sliced my arm up. And that was quite scary because I couldn't breathe and there was a lot of blood and I wasn't quite sure what was going on.
Next question.
You started cycling late and you've finished early. Are you intrigued or interested in being competitive in another sport?
Not really. I think I completely what I wanted to achieve in cycling was, seeing what my potential had and, fulfilling that, like doing everything to be my best at a certain thing and seeing what that brought. And I really got the answers in that in cycling. And I don't think that, there's nothing that I'm like searching for to validate myself by going after a similar level in any other sport. I think now I just want to do things for fun and to be with people. I have some goals to go back to running and like maybe do a marathon or something, but it's more like a challenge thing rather than being like super competitive.
A bit like Ash Barty, she retired. She went and played the golf club championships and beat all the men, and she plays off scratch. And you're going to do a quick marathon, I'm sure of it. Next one.
In a season like last year, was there much tension between your individual goals and what the team wanted from you?
That's a good question, but I was very lucky with my team that they supported me 100%, and a lot of teams aren't interested in, your personal ambitions in the Olympics or the World Champs when you're racing for your national team. But my team really wanted to see me become Olympic champions, so they were super supportive in, allowing me to build my calendar the way I wanted to prepare for the Olympics and do the training that I needed. Also with equipment, they basically said you can do whatever you want, like we'll support you. So I got super lucky in that regard.
One more question down here, Grace.
Where are you?
Yeah. Grace. When you're at the top of your training and competing, fueling and nutrition is huge. Did you manage, was it hard to meet your daily requirements? And now that you've finished, is it hard to change your nutrition?
The hardest time is really during events like the Tour de France Femme, where you're backing up every day with like maximum energy expenditure. So you're just eating as much carbohydrate in the day as you possibly can imagine, and you get really sick of the food. But now, now that I've stopped, it's interesting. You sort of have to recalibrate a bit and learn how much food the body needs just on an average day when you're not flogging yourself on the bike. So it's a bit of a, trial and error. Relearning how to be a normal person.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here, Grace, and for us all to be able to ask you a few questions.
Yeah, thanks for such good questions. I think, you all really got involved, and I appreciate everyone showing up today and supporting me in my career. So it's nice to come to events like this and see you all, and thanks for the support.
What I hope you take out of this is how much we've enjoyed watching your career, and that you can actually take a moment. Not many professional athletes are good at doing this, but reflecting on what you've done and the joy that you've brought to the whole nation. So thank you.
Thanks, Keno.
Where do the glasses go?
Oh, I didn't know that I had to make this decision, but I think the winner is down the front here. Yeah.
She could break the internet with that cute question. You ready? First race.
Do you think
Come
you
and
can
collect the
catch?
glasses.
Congratulations. Thanks for the great questions.
Well, Grace, it was an extraordinary 2024, but it's been an extraordinary journey. I'm delighted that you had injuries as a runner. Cycling was the great benefactor. A winner of Liège-Bastogne-Liège, Olympic Games gold medalist, a world champion, one of the great human beings. Once more, a round of applause for Grace Brown.
Thank you.